The story begins with Bong Seok having a dream about flying and falling. He is an ordinary-looking high school student who secretly has the ability to fly as well as enhanced senses that he inherited from his parents. This is a recurrent nightmare he has been having for a long time. He wakes up tied on his bed and his mom, Mi Hyun, calls out to him. She runs a tonkatsu restaurant and her senses are enhanced at a superhuman level. Currently, she is preparing breakfast downstairs and Bong Seok is excited to smell the food she is cooking. Elsewhere, a young girl, Hee-soo, is trying to get excited about the new chicken restaurant that her father, Joo-won, opened recently. She has healing abilities that allow her to recover quickly from almost any kind of injury. Joo-won, on the other hand, has superhuman strength along with exceptional hearing abilities. It is revealed that Hee-soo is being transferred from her old school for unknown reasons at the moment. Today is her first day at the new school, but there is one glaring problem. She doesn't have a new uniform. This worries her father, who is internally calculating how to get his daughter a new uniform. Hee-soo is aware that her father is tight on cash and doesn't want him to stress out. She tells him that she will make a new deal with her class teacher since she will be graduating at the end of the semester. They say their sweet goodbyes and Hee-soo rushes to her new school, the Jeongwon High. Meanwhile, Bong Seok is running late for school, but his mom keeps adding weights inside his bag. She is worried that he will fly off, in case he doesn't have something holding him down. It is obvious that things like those have happened to the young boy in the past. After he has gone towards the bus stop, she spends some time checking her phone to see if any mysterious accidents were reported. On the way to school, the two young superhumans, Bong Seok and Hee-soo, meet at the bus stop. They both have some form of ability, but have never met before and are unaware of this fact. The duo get into the bus together, but Hee-soo's bus card gets rejected as it is out of credit. Bong Seok, who is instantly enamored by the girl, seizes this opportunity and offers to pay her bus fare, and she accepts it. They start talking and Bong Seok questions why she is speaking to him so informally. In response, she argues that is what they do at her former school and Bong Seok drops the matter. During the whole bus ride, he can't help but stare at her, which makes him excited. This causes him to nearly start flying away, but thankfully, he has a chant to help him focus on staying on the ground. Back at Hee-soo's house, Joo-won hurts himself as he thinks about whether to get Hee-soo the new uniform or not. At Mi Hyun's house, she worries that Bong Seok will have another incident. Unfortunately, the young boy ends up arriving late at his school, the Jeongwon High. He tries to explain himself to his teacher Choi Roman 2H1, but it is useless. He is asked to clean the toilets later as punishment for being late. Unbeknownst to the boy, Il H1 is a former Special Forces member who teaches the superhuman children, under the orders of the National Intelligence Service or NIS. It is the first day of the semester, and the principal of the school, Jo Rae-hyuk, stops by the school. He is actually a NIS Black Ops agent who searches for other agents with superpowers, and also gathers any students with powers. He is welcomed by Roman 2H1 and another teacher, Sung Wook, who is trying to get into the good books of the principal. Secretly, he is a NIS agent who is trying to get a permanent teaching contract at this particular school for unknown reasons. On the other hand, the principal is currently worried about the security cameras being down. Roman 2H1 insists security is crucial and reminds Sung Wook his contract is ending soon, as the latter is trying to get a permanent teaching position at the school, so he is acting all meek in front of Rae-hyuk. However, he seems to have an ulterior motive to stay in this school. In the meantime, the students are in the classroom and the prefect, Gang-hoon, is collecting the phones before the teacher gets to class. He has the ability of superhuman strength and speed, but no one knows about it yet. One student is recording stuff on her camera and catches Bong Seok downing a whole bottle of water in mere seconds. On the other hand, Hee-soo is talking with Roman 2H1, who is advising her on which courses to take. Shen is currently in the humanities stream, which costs quite a good sum of money. He is aware of her financial situation and suggests she takes P classes and try to get a full scholarship at one of the elite colleges in Seoul. However, Hee-soo doesn't want to leave her dad. She is concerned that it will cost more if she studies out of Seoul. Eventually, the teacher manages to convince her to join P and promises to train her at the school grounds. She also asks about her uniform and Il H1 is surprised, but allows her to wear the uniform of her old school. After that, Roman 2H1 takes her to her class and she introduces herself. Bong Seok, who is also in the same class, is happy that she will be studying here. He has a hard time concentrating as he keeps stealing glances at her. The increased excitement levels causes him to elevate, and he tries his best to stay grounded by muttering his chant. Elsewhere, a man named Frank arrives in South Korea. He is an American-raised assassin who has healing abilities and pursues the retired agents under the orders of the CIA. Immediately, he picks up a package from a delivery truck parked at the airport and changes his clothes. There are strange tattoos on his body, including a big capital F on his back. He opens the package and finds one of those old phones. It contains an unread message on the phone from an unknown number. He opens the message and there is only the number 11 typed in. Frank then proceeds to open the invoice document marked 11 among the documents found in the package. However, the envelope is not an invoice but photos and details of a man. The document has a stamp on it and a logo of an agency called the Supernatural Control Agency, or SCA. After going through the document, Frank drives off in the truck dressed as a delivery man. In the meantime, day classes come to an end and the students at Jeongwon High School start their extracurricular activities. Gang Hoon escorts Huey Soo to the auditorium where she is to start her training and gives her the key to the room. She asks to stay behind and starts doing laps, so Gang Hoon excuses her. He goes to meet Roman 2H1 and informs him that Huey Soo is training. He asks if Huey Soo has the same ability as him and Roman 2H1 says yes. He encourages Gang Hoon to watch and get close to Huey Soo. As Huey Soo trains, she keeps remembering a fight she got into with another girl from her former school. Meanwhile, Bong Seok starts cleaning the toilets as punishment for being late. On the other side of town, Frank visits an office and asks to meet a man named Jin Chin to deliver a package. Jin Chin gets suspicious immediately after he hears his name and clears the office. The assassin explains that Jin Chin is listed on a list of retirees. The latter asks him to clarify in detail what the list is about, and Frank ominously says he has been sent to delete him. Following this, the two men get into an intense fight and Jin Chin tries to use his supernatural abilities to beat Frank. Unfortunately, Frank seems to also have excellent fighting skills, and in the end, he kills his target by throwing him out of the window. Before Jin Chin dies, he tells Frank that he has no children and that Frank needs to come back home. After killing Jin Chin, Frank calmly returns to his delivery truck and texts delete to the anonymous number. Back at Jeongwon High School, Roman 2H1 grows more suspicious as he insists on solely working with Huey Soo. He is firmly against Sung Wook helping in her training. He also seems to be writing something he doesn't want Sung Wook to see on Huey Soo's personal file. Once Huey Soo is done with her laps, she cleans up and prepares to head home. She is surprised to see Bong Seok waiting for her. He asks to help her carry her bag, and as they leave, the school guard seems to take an odd interest in them. Bong Seok takes the bus home, but Huey Soo opts to visit a tutor's office to ask about the cost of classes. It proves to be too expensive for her. In the meantime, Mai Hyun prepares a heavy meal for Bong Seok once he gets home. He asks if she can add more weights to his school bag. Mai Hyun is constantly worried that Bong Seok's secret will be revealed. Huey Soo also gets home and informs her dad that she will need new uniforms. Ju Won agrees to buy what she needs and says it is only understandable. He is putting up an act and trying to lessen his daughter's worry over their finances. Of course, she can see right through him, and it hurts her heart. On the other hand, Gang Hoon gets home, and as always his dad, Yi-man, is patiently waiting for him. The dad runs a mini-mart and possesses superhuman strength and speed. However, the old man is cognitively impaired. The next morning, Mai Hyun cleans Bong Seok's room and casually checks the internet for any news about mysterious accidents. She unfortunately sees the news about Jin Chin's death. Concurrently, at the NIS, Agent Woon Kyu informs the director, Yong Jun, of Jin Chin's passing. He is saddened and asks about the details surrounding the death. Woon Kyu updates that they have declared his death as an accident, but are low-key investigating who attacked Jin Chin. The director then asks about a breeding program, to which Woon Kyu responds that they are done replanting them. Young Jun orders her to expedite the cultivation after reading a headline about an upcoming peace summit between the two Koreas in the newspaper. Elsewhere, Mai Hyun is cleaning her gun as if anticipating trouble. Bong Seok narrates that his mom has always done her best to protect him. He wants to control his flying and keep the secret for his mom's sake. This is why he tries to watch his weight and manage his emotions, since these things affect him a lot. It turns out Mai Hyun is getting ready because she fears someone is deleting people with supernatural abilities. A flashback to December 2003 shows when Mai Hyun and Bong Seok moved into town. Even though Bong Seok was old enough to walk, Mai Hyen still carried him on her back. She later leased a big greenhouse in a secluded area, miles from town. She paid for the lease up front but only had one condition: the property owner was never allowed to drop by. As she settled in the area, she met a lady butcher. They didn't start on the right note since Mai Hyen mistook her question about carrying Bong Seok for judgment. However, it turns out, the butcher was worried about Mai Hyen since she looked overwhelmed. She is a parent to a child with a disability and only wanted to help. This is why she advised Mai Hyen to teach Bong Seok the skills he will need to survive without her. After this incident, Mai Hyen started training Bong Seok to walk without flying. She trained him for months, tying him down with weight to help him stay grounded. She took note of what triggered his elevation and came to realize that emotions and weight were a big factor. Since then, she tried not to smile too often at her son and strictly worked on maintaining his diet. Change of weather also affected Bong Seok's elevation ability. Every time it rained, it became harder to control. Later, in 2007, she bought a house and turned the downstairs into a tonkatsu restaurant. She tried her best to isolate Bong Seok from friends to protect their secret. This is why Bong Seok spent most of his childhood watching TV after school. He became fascinated with Bungiman, a flying hero similar to Superman, and wanted to be just like him. One day, he was playing hero with his friends and forgot himself. He ended up flying and his friends were shocked. One boy tried to do the same by jumping from a high climbing wall on the school grounds, but ended up getting injured and Bong Seok was blamed for the accident. The teacher claimed he incited the other to jump. Of course, the teacher didn't believe the kids when they said Bong Seok flew. The only adult who happened to see him was Ray Hyuk. Mai Hyen was called to the office and she apologized profusely. Bong Seok felt sad watching his mom apologize since he couldn't understand what he did wrong. Mai Hyen tried to explain that he is special and therefore has powers. She asked him to be mindful of those different from him if he wanted to be a hero. This scolding made Bong Seok sad, and he cried in the rain and nearly flew away that night. Thankfully, Mai Hyen was there to pull him back. Once she got him back down, she apologized and promised to protect him. In 2018, the present day, Bong Seok is officially a teenager and it is getting harder to maintain his weight and control his emotions. Mai Hyen acknowledges that it is not easy as his hormones are all over the place. Once in a while, Bong Seok still elevates in his sleep. This time he hurt his nose on the roof. On his way to school, Bong Seok tries to wait for Huey Soo, and the bus driver, Jae-do, teases him. Jae-do thinks they are dating, but Bong Seok explains they are just friends. As usual, Huey Soo runs to school even though it is raining heavily and Bong Seok tries to watch her from the bus. Elsewhere, Frank is working on the kill list and a retired agent named Bong Pyong is the target. It is then revealed that Bong Pyong is a code name for Yong Seok, Jae-do's father. He has the ability to generate electricity. Frank heads to Young Seok's second-hand bookstore and launches an attack on him after telling him about the kill list. Despite siphoning all the electricity in the building, the retired agent is unable to kill his attacker. Once Young Seok runs out of electricity to siphon, Frank uses this opportunity to kill Young Seok by breaking his neck with a book. Before dying, Young Seok tried to destroy a picture of Jeongwon High School. Frank picks up the picture and deduces the man in the picture must be Young Seok's son. He takes the picture and leaves Young Seok's body burning in the bookstore. On the other hand, Jae-do picks up on the strange static change while he is on his route. He starts to silently panic as if he knows something is wrong. Once again, Bong Seok is late and has a minor accident after colliding with Huey Soo at the gate. She also ends up late and Roman 2H1 gives them a punishment to wash the toilets. In class, Kai-soo, a delinquent student who is aware of superhumans, tries to bully Huey Soo, but Gang-hoon protects her. Later, Huey Soo decides to take a shower at the school since she smells from all the running. She asks Bong Seok to help her with his extra shirt and heads to the showers. Kai-soo follows her, but Gang-hoon stops him. Gang-hoon gets the horrible idea to instigate a fight with Gang-hoon behind the school grounds. Gang-hoon beats him to a bloody pulp and even breaks a tree with just one punch. He leaves a passed-out Kai-soo there and lies to Roman 2H1 that the boy went home after claiming to be sick. Meanwhile, Bong Seok and Huey Soo get close after he helps her with his shirt. She finally learns his name and Bong Seok tries his best to stay on the ground. They also go together to the uniform store and Gang-hoon seems upset about how close the two are getting. At the store, Huey-soo tries to get a discount and shares her concern over how expensive everything is with Bong Seok. To help her, Bong Seok offers to ask his mom to help her write the initials on her uniform, but Huey-soo turns him down. As they talk more, Huey-soo realizes that Bong Seok skipped lunch because he was waiting for her. She buys him some noodles. Back at school, Kai-soo finally wakes up from his concussion. On the other side of town, Yang-jun is worried that they still don't know who killed Jin-jun. Woon Kyu assures him they are working on it. He asks her to identify the culprit and promises to personally take matters into his hand. Meanwhile, the news about Young Seok's death is announced in the daytime news. Ju-won and Mi Hyun respectively watch it and seem to grow anxious. In the meantime, Frank is looking into the picture and Jeongwon School is in the caption. He gets another message from the anonymous number checking if the target has been deleted. Elsewhere, Bong Seok and Huey-soo stop by the convenience store and get some late-night snacks. Huey-soo also buys some band-aids for Bong Seok. They talk about their parents' restaurants as they enjoy their snacks. Huey-soo is worried about her dad's chicken restaurant since this is his first time running a business. Bong Seok encourages her, saying his mom also did it alone, and it will all be fine. He has an adorable, positive outlook on life. Huey-soo asks about his dad and Bong Seok says he doesn't remember meeting him. As they talk, Bong Seok spots a bloody Kai-soo walking home. He wonders what happens and stands up to go ask him, but Huey-soo finds this weird. By the time Bong Seok explains why he wants to check on Kai-soo, the young man is gone. They both find it strange that Gang-hoon said Kai-soo went home while he clearly didn't. Bong Seok explains to Huey-soo that Kai-soo didn't used to be such a troubled kid. He wanted to join P but suffered a leg injury. After that, he changed and started getting into lots of fights. The conversation turns to why Bong Seok has no friends, and he admits to being a loner. Huey-soo confesses that she is an introvert too, which Bong Seok finds hard to believe. He questions how a nice, kind, beautiful girl like her has no friends. Meanwhile, Mi Hyun finds herself dealing with some raucous clients at her restaurant. Thankfully, the butcher's son arrives just in time to de-escalate the matter. On the other hand, Ju-won officially opens his chicken restaurant. He prepares a lot, but is disappointed when he doesn't sell as much. After their late-night snacks, Bong Seok tries to cheer Huey-soo. He advises her to be open with her dad and stop worrying about him too much. Once they get back to school, Huey-soo asks Gang-hoon about Kai-soo. Gang-hoon lies and questions why the two of them skipped class, but Huey-soo reminds him after-school classes are voluntary. Gang-hoon claims the two of them have gotten too close and Huey-soo agrees that Bong Seok is her friend. While the other students leave for their homes, Huey-soo and Bong Seok remain behind to clean the toilets as punishment for being late. She notices that Bong Seok's wound is still bleeding and give him first aid. This is a surprise to Bong Seok and he tries to hold himself together. He manages to keep his feet on the ground until she leaves. After that, the excitement from the encounter is too much, and he starts to elevate as he cleans the toilets. Later, Huey-soo returns home and shows her dad the new uniform she bought. She reconsiders Bong Seok's advice and decides to talk to her dad. She asks for his support and tells him that she is switching from humanities to P. Her dad asks her to explain, and she tells him that he won't have to worry about the finances. Humanities are expensive, but PE is more affordable for them. Her dad is left speechless and a new customer arrives, so the conversation ends there. The next morning, Bong Seok is surprised to see a new bus driver. They have no idea whatsoever about what happened to Jae-do. As usual, Huey-soo runs to school and Bong Seok happily watches her from the bus. Unfortunately, Bong Seok is late again and will have to be punished. Once they get to class, Choi Il-hwan asks about Kai-soo. Huey-soo warns Bong Seok about speaking up about what he saw. Gang-hoon overhears them and asks what they are talking about. Huey-soo asks him what he knows because it is clear he lied. Gang-hoon acts like he knows nothing. He continues to keep his eyes on Huey-soo and Bong Seok. Bong Seok is sticking around to motivate Huey-soo as she trains. He ends up getting home late and Mi Hyun is not pleased. However, softens when she hears he has a new friend. Elsewhere, Frank visits Jeonwon High School to follow up on the lead he found after killing Young Seok. The security guard, Jae-sung, finds the late-night visit odd and sends Frank off. Jae-sung then makes a call to report the strange visit to someone. The next day, Ju-won researches the cost of P classes. Huey Soo starts her official training with Choi Roman 2H1 but is not impressed with her stamina. She keeps training and nearly misses lunch. Thankfully, Bong Seok is willing to share his side dishes with her. In the meantime, Jae Sung puts up security cameras around the school. Later, Choi Roman 2H1 asks Gang Hoon to turn on the fans in the auditorium. Gang Hoon does as instructed but stays behind to secretly watch Huey Soo train. Bong Seok soon joins her and is taken aback when he sees her stumble and fall. To reach her quickly, he drops his heavy bag and flies to her. Gang Hoon secretly watches them and realizes Bong Seok has gifts too. Huey Soo finds it strange how quickly Bong Seok got to her, but he claims she must have seen her own things. Huey Soo recruits Bong Seok to help her train, but he gets distracted by her proximity and tries to stay grounded. In the end, he loses the battle and flies across the room. Once again, he acts like nothing happened and claims he is fine. The custodian disrupts them and Bong Seok quickly leaves. Gang Hoon stays back and smashes his hands on the wall. It is obvious that he has extremely great body strength. The next morning, Huey Soo is touched to see her dad buy her new shoes. She decides to carry them to school. She trains as usual, but she can't stop thinking about Bong Seok flying. She finds it strange to believe she imagined what happened. After training, she finds Bong Seok and invites him to grab some snacks. Bong Seok texts his mom to let her know he will be late as he is hanging out with a friend. He tells Huey Soo his mom won't scold him if she learns he is eating with a friend. As they talk, Huey Soo remembers she left her new shoes at school. Bong Seok offers to run and get them for her. Huey Soo secretly follows him, probably to see if he will fly again. There is no one at school and Huey Soo gets scared. However, wants to discover his secret. Out of fear, she calls out to him and he responds. They end up sitting on the stairs and she asks about what she saw and the chant he keeps muttering. Bong Seok laughs it off saying it is the pi formula and she drops the matter. As they sit, Bong Seok takes off his bag to get the noodles he bought for her. She realizes the bandage on his elbow is getting loose and tries to fix it. With nothing to hold him down, Bong Seok gets excited at her touch and starts to elevate. She watches him in awe as he tries to grab onto something. Unfortunately, there is nothing to grab, and he elevates towards the ceiling. As he keeps levitating, a stunned Huey Soo tries to get him something to grab onto, but there is nothing in close sight. She ends up jumping and grabbing his leg, and they fall down together. She then quickly gives Bong Seok his bag, but he keeps floating. For a few minutes, they alternate between floating and trying to stay on the ground. They leave the school grounds and Jae Sung can't help but smile fondly at the two of them. Huey Soo walks Bong Seok home after, since he is unable to control his power. Even though it is raining heavily, they manage to get home. Mai Hyan is surprised to see Bong Seok arrive with a female friend. It gets awkward for a couple of seconds as she processes this new piece of information. She quickly recovers and invites Huey Soo to have dinner. She serves them a lot of food and Huey Soo forces herself to eat it all as a sign of courtesy. On the other hand, Bong Seok downs the food since he is used to eating big portions. Mai Hyan also serves them apples as dessert and Huey Soo commends her slicing skills. Meanwhile, our assassin Frank visits a salon and asks for a haircut. The salon owner is a lady and tries to tell him that they are closed. However, Frank insists on having his hair cut. His Korean language skills are pitiful, so the salon owner agrees to provide him the service. As she washes his hair, Frank starts asking personal questions like the number of kids she has. The woman immediately realizes something is off and grabs her scissors. She sticks them in Frank's face, but he removes them and regenerates. An intense fight ensues and the woman fights with all her might to save her life. Unfortunately, she is no match for the assassin who regenerates and heals no matter how many bullets she uses on him. Ultimately, she dies a painful death, but she calls him a second string. These words hit Frank because this is the second time someone has called him that. It also baffles him that all his targets fight so hard to protect their kids. In the meantime, Ju-won is on a call with Huey Soo. She explains she will be late since she is having dinner at a friend's place. Ju-won is unable to ask more questions as he gets an order and hangs up the phone. He rushes to prepare the order and deliver it himself. Coincidentally, the customer is in the same building where Frank just killed the salon owner. Elsewhere, Huey Soo is still at Bong Seok's place. Mai Hyan asks her son to take Huey Soo upstairs and allow her to change from her drenching clothes. Huey Soo apologizes for following him and being too curious about his secret. Bong Seok is understanding and forgiving. They talk about different things such as Huey Soo's training and what she is having trouble doing. She tells him that she thinks he is lucky that he can fly. Bong Seok reveals more about his secret, such as the weights he wears and carries around. He shows her his room, which is filled with cushions on the roof to protect him from hurting himself in his sleep. He admits he can't control his powers, but has been trying to balance his weight and emotions. These are the two things that greatly affect him. He adds that he has been having trouble since he met Huey Soo. Our bold girl Huey Soo straight up asks him if he has feelings for her. Bong Seok tries to deny it, but as Huey Soo gets closer, he ends up levitating again. She is not surprised, but My Hyun, who can hear everything thanks to her abilities, is a bit worried. Huey Soo promises to drop the subject and helps Bong Seok get back on his bed. Bong Seok is surprised that she seems cool with his strange ability. She admits that she believes all things can happen, and that she is different too. However, Bong Seok fails to hear this. She promises to keep his secret and tells him that he is not weird, just different. She then tells him that he is special, and that is okay. My Hyun hears this and smiles to herself as she is touched by Huey Soo's words to her son. Bong Seok is also happy to hear such assurance from his crush. This time he has weights on his leg so he doesn't levitate, just smiles shyly. Soon, Huey Soo leaves and My Hyun asks Bong Seok to amp up his game and walk her to the stage. Bong Seok rushes after Huey Soo, but she sends him back saying he will slow her. My Hyun is frustrated when Bong Seok returns quickly. She tells him that it is obvious that Huey Soo likes him more than a friend. Bong Seok decides to get his raincoat and chase after Huey Soo. However, she has already covered a fair amount of distance already. He takes off the weights on his legs and starts flying towards her as he calls out her name. Huey Soo turns and is awed by the sight of him flying. She silently remarks that he is so cool even though he is unable to control his flying and loses momentum once in a while. He finally reaches her and says he will see her off. Huey Soo is surprised but touched. Away from our young protagonist, Frank cleans himself at the salon before leaving. On his way out, he runs into Ju-won, who uses the opportunity to ask for directions to the phone shop. Frank helps him and Ju-won gives him a coupon for his new chicken restaurant. The assassin leaves and Ju-won hurries to deliver his food. Unfortunately, his customer turns out to be a piece of work. He demands that Ju-won returns with a credit card machine to receive his payment. Ju-won keeps his calm even as the customer continues to demean him. He promises to return the next day with the credit card machine and leaves the food. The next day, Bong Seok wakes up from his recurring dream. In the dream, he is flying above the skies and there is a man calling him. This time the man congratulates him and calls him Yuri Bong Seok, which translates as our Bong Seok. Following this, the youngster quickly prepares for school and hurriedly sneaks out to avoid My Hyun. She still notices him and asks why he is going to school on a Saturday. Bong Seok lies that he is going for intense cramming sessions since he is now a senior. My Hyun simply nods, but she finds the fact that he took the time to style his hair unusually odd. She sets about her business and takes a few minutes to check for new information about accidents around the town. Bong Seok meets with Huey Soo at the school auditorium and watches her train. He pretends to read a book, but it is clear he is distracted. He later reminds Huey Soo of her promise to keep his secret. She agrees and reveals a secret of her own. She starts by telling him why she transferred to a new school. It turns out it is because she fought 17 bullies at her former school. She didn't get hurt, but the others involved were badly injured. Her dad ended up bankrupt after paying the medical bills and settlement to the victims. Initially, Bong Seok thinks she is joking, but she insists she is telling the truth. She reveals that she can never get hurt. The scene shifts to a flashback to the day Huey Soo's mom died. The family were involved in an accident, but she didn't make it. At present time, Huey Soo is at Jeonwon High School, where she spends her days studying and training hard. As usual, Bong Seok is by her side, helping and taking care of her. Even though he knows she can't get hurt, he still insists on cleaning the floor so she doesn't slip. Huey Soo asks why he never asked what happened in the fight that led her to transfer. This prompts Bong Seok to tell her that he is being cautious since he doesn't want her to relive the bad memory. Huey Soo eventually becomes ready to talk about that fateful day. She starts by narrating how she moved a lot when she was a young girl. She felt like her dad was always running from something. They would stay at a place for no more than 3 years before moving. Her dad worked hard to provide for the family though. Soon, her dad decided to settle down in one place to allow her to study and join college. Huey-soo was happy and Ju-won was pleased to see it. The trouble started when a new girl joined the senior class. Her name was Hae-won, and she came from a rich family which caused some girls to be envious of her. A gang of bullies joined up and started bullying Hae-won constantly. The bullying was intense and varied from psychological to physical. Everyone in the classroom was scared to speak up against the bullying. Huey-soo decided to report the matter to the teacher, but nothing much happened. The bullies only got reprimanded and doubled down on their actions. Hae-won didn't have the courage to speak up against the bullies, so they only got a warning. Huey-soo felt like the teachers only wanted to give an appearance that they had handled the matter. They later demanded to know who had the audacity to report them. The class president tried to step up, but ended up beaten to a pulp. Huey-soo ended up feeling guilty for reporting the matter and the other student getting beaten up. She tried to apologize to him, but didn't know where to start. Huey-soo tried to hold on longer, but things continued to get worse for Hae-won. She tried to think of her dad and remained silent. With 120 days until their final exams, Huey-soo was unable to stay calm and watch Hae-won get bullied. She confronted the bullies, and they took the fight outside. It was a fierce battle as she fought against 17 other students. The other students stood by and watched, some recording the drama as it unfolds on their phones. One of the students even took out a razor knife and slashed Huey-soo's throat. Another hit Huey-soo so hard on the head with a stone. However, Huey-soo regenerated and healed in seconds. The final bully left standing got scared after seeing Huey-soo immediately heal from the cut. It was the first time Huey-soo realized she is different. The fight continued and she ended up winning without a single wound on her body. After that incident, there was an investigation, but there was no proof that Huey-soo was the victim. The other students involved in the fight were badly injured, but she was okay. She ended up being expelled for using violence on school grounds. The other students were too scared to approach her. Following this incident, Huey-soo was also scared of herself, so she asked her dad what was wrong with her. Ju-won explained that she takes after him and her mom must have died happy knowing this. Ju-won used all the money he had to pay for the settlement and keep the other party from pressing charges. No school wanted to admit Huey-soo until Jeongwon High School came along. Away from Huey-soo's flashback, we see Ju-won return to the rude customer from the previous night and puts him in his place. The customer pays his bills, and on his way out Ju-won notes there is heavy police presence in the building. He is particularly interested in the presence of the National Intelligence agents. He creates a minor accident to bring out the NIS agents so he can see who they are. Meanwhile, Mai Hyen learns of a murder nearby on the internet and decides to check out the scene from afar. She watches Ju-won's little prank and watches him leave. She, however, fails to see his face, only the logo of his restaurant. On the other side of town, Bong-seok and Huey-soo head out for lunch. Bong-seok brings up how memories work since he is fascinated by the science behind them. Huey-soo tells him about the memories of her mom's accident, which is the only memory she has of her mom. She is not sure if her mom was crying or smiling at her. After lunch, they go back to the auditorium and Huey-soo thanks him for keeping her company. Of course, our boy Bong-seok tries to deny that he came for her. Back at the NIS headquarters, Woon Kyu updates Yong-jun on the recent developments. So far, they have closed all the murder cases as robberies and deleted any evidence of the incidents online. They also got the bodies of the victims and had NIS process them before the funerals. Yong-jun believes that the S sent a cleaner to get rid of NIS retired agents. It turns out that back in the day all agents were vetted by the S. She asks why they are not taking any action to protect the retired agents. The director argues that retirees pose a threat because they know a lot of secrets. He, however, asks Woon Kyu to find out who the cleaner is without reaching out to the US headquarters. In the meantime, Frank shows up at the Salinist's funeral service to check out if she had any kids. It turns out she had one biological kid who died many years ago. She then adopted many kids and raised them with all the love she could muster. Hearing this seems to have immensely affected Frank. We circle back to the NIS headquarters, and we see Principal Jo Rae-hyuk reporting to Yong-jun. It is revealed that he agreed to take Huey-soo in after learning she has regenerating abilities. He personally interviewed the bullies Huey-soo beat up to verify the information. Another twist is that Jeongwon High School is part of the NIS secret project. Ray Hayek is in charge of overseeing it. He is hopeful they will get results this year with the graduates they had admitted. Yongjun is doubtful and reminds Rai Hayek that the project has to be kept a secret. The files need to be protected too. Elsewhere, Bong Seok and Huey Soo head home. The young boy tells her about how his mom has always been protective. He mentions that he believes that Huey Soo's mom smiled in her final moments because she was sure Huey Soo was not hurt. This deeply moves Huey Soo, who starts crying and remembers the final moments of her mom. Ju Won watches the news to follow the murder case. He can't stop thinking about the NIS agents. In the meantime, Frank visits young Seok's funeral but doesn't see Jae-do. The bus driver is hurt and mourning his dad. He holds the last thing his dad held on to and sees his last moments. Jae-do's power starts affecting the building's electricity, but Frank doesn't think much of it and leaves. A new week approaches and the students are back to school. Our resident bully, Kai-soo, also makes a limping return. However, in a shocking turn of events, a new student, who happens to be none other than Haewon, arrives at Jeongwon High School. It seems this is a pleasant surprise for Huey Soo, who smiles when Haewon introduces herself. The scene once again shifts to a flashback, narrating the life of Jae-do, also known as Bungaemin. He used to be an entertainer on a kids' show. He was a beloved figure among the children. Jae-do realized his power at an early age during a science class on electricity. He went to Jeongwon School where Roman 2 Hwon taught him. He was looking to be an athlete, but he didn't have the skills. Roman 2 Hwon suggested he try to be a journalist. This is what led Jae-do to audition on TV. At first, his chances to succeed in the audition were looking bleak. However, he wowed the judges with his electricity-generating talent. It only seemed logical that they would hire him for the role. The job was not easy, but it was fun. He only had to try and control his powers, so he wore gloves. Unfortunately, accidents happened once in a while, and he ended up destroying some equipment. During this time, Jae-do lived a happy life. His mom helped take care of him and always stopped by his apartment to bring him food. Sadly, things took a turn for the worst after Jae-do's glove got a cut right before he took to the stage. He ended up electrocuting a fellow performer and nearly causing a major accident. The producers decided it was easier to fire him as the incident scared the kids too much. That same day, Jae-do arrived at his home to find his mom lying on his floor. He knew something bad had happened as soon as he touched his door lock. His mom didn't make it. As expected, it was a tough time for him. This was also the first time he saw his father. Jae-do held no ill feelings towards his dad. Even though his dad was never present, he took care of him financially. It was a bittersweet meeting which left Jae-do crying. Soon after, he started looking for a new job. He filled out hundreds of resumes, but nothing came out of them. He missed his job as an entertainer and occasionally visited the studio. He also visited his dad to share his mom's memories from the digital lock of his apartment. Their ability allows them to see memories by touching objects. Jae-do found his power frustrating and thought it only led him to hurt people. However, his dad tried to assure him differently. One night, Jae-do went out for drinks. He spotted a bus having some electrical trouble and used his power to fix it. This is how he ended up getting a job as a bus driver. It is a job he grew to love and cherish. He even had some favorite customers such as Bong Seok, who always had a smile and warm greetings for him. At present, Jae-do takes a short leave to deal with his dad's death. Remember, young Seok was the second person Frank killed. Jae-do took an item from his dad's shop and saw how brutally he was killed. It caused him great pain, but he tried to resume his normal life. In the meantime, Frank questions why his targets are protective of their kids. It seems he practices self-harm by burning himself, but then heals within seconds. On the other hand, Mai Hyun prepares Bong Seok for school and he seems down. Huey Soo also makes the same observation over lunch. Bong Seok assures her that he is fine, but Huey Soo doesn't believe it. Bong Seok is about to tell her what is stressing him when Haewon joins them. Huey Soo gladly welcomes her and Bong Seok as usual is kind. They continue to eat their lunch and are joined by Han Byul. She has no friends because she is always recording stuff which makes them uncomfortable. They argue if they should sit with Gang Hoon, who is alone but decides to let him be. Lunchtime flows smoothly until Gang Hoon is embarrassed by Kai-soo. Kai-soo is on a mission to get Gang Hoon to reveal his powers. Luckily, Gang Hoon holds back and endures the humiliation. Kai-soo ends up taking his glasses and dumping them in food. Gang Hoon leaves and Huey Soo picks up the glasses for him. She promises Bong Seok that she is not being nosy, she just wants to help. On the other hand, Sung Wook reports the incident to Roman 2H1 and asks him to do something about it. He points out that Kai Soo has been bothering Gang Hoon a lot lately and Roman 2H1 asks him to mind his business. Although Roman 2H1 acts nonchalantly, this news greatly worries him. After lunch, he asks to meet privately with Kai Soo, but the latter rudely walks out of class. Huey Soo runs into Gang Hoon at the auditorium and gives him his glasses back. She commends him for holding back and not opting to use violence. She says it is a lesson she learnt the hard way. Gang Hoon is touched by her words and thanks her for the glasses. He is, however, disappointed to hear that Bong Seok was the one who cleaned them. Huey Soo asks him to turn on the air conditioner before he leaves. He quickly tells her that his dad has a shop too before shyly scurrying away. Concurrently, Jae-do returns to work and explains to his boss that he needs to keep himself busy. Elsewhere, Frank has flashbacks of running in a cornfield in Iowa when he was young. He also remembers a woman singing at what looks like a jazz club. Back at the NIS headquarters, Woon Kyu has finally gotten the identity of the cleaner. It turns out that Frank is a Korean native, who was forcefully adopted in the US. He grew up in America and based on his code name, he is the sixth child that underwent this forced adoption and training. He was brought in by a CIA agent when he was a child, and after that, all his records were deleted. After hearing the report, Yong-jun decides to summon the US counselor. Evening rolls by, and Bong Seok creates a playlist to cheer Huey Soo as she trains. She doesn't have a phone, so he lets her use his. Huey Soo gets close to thank him and our boy nearly floats again. He quickly leaves, but she remains with his phone. As the night deepens, Frank gets a text about his next target, and it is none other than our beloved Mai Hyan. Frank stops drinking and heads over to her restaurant. Meanwhile, the students at Jeongwon start leaving for home. As usual, Gang Hoon arrives to find his dad waiting for him outside their shop. He apologizes to his dad out of the blue, but we don't know why. His dad only smiles and carries on with what he was doing. Bong Seok drops by the auditorium to pick up his phone and notices it is about to die. He quickly leaves since he is scared his mom will worry if he is unreachable. On his way, he is glad to see Jae-do back at his job. He warmly greets him and shares that it is great to have him back. He admits he was worried and Jae-do is moved by his words. Huey Soo also makes it home and is surprised to see her dad got her a phone. Ju-won managed to buy her a phone by subtly threatening that rude customer who owned a phone store. Ju-won asks Huey Soo to make sure she always has her phone just in case. It seems Ju-won is worried about the assassin and wants to protect Huey Soo. He, however, doesn't tell her this because he doesn't want her to worry. Back at the NIS headquarters, Yong-jun meets with the US counselor, Mark, and calls him out on the discourtesy. He points out that it is rude to carry out a mission in a country without informing the necessary authorities. Mark remarks that Yong-jun's department is also a secret disguised as a regular government agency. Yong-jun cuts to the point and reveals he knows Mark is a CIA agent working undercover as counselor. The confident smile on Mark's face drops, and we know Yong-jun has him where he wants him. Yong-jun threatens to make the issue an international diplomatic matter if Mark refuses to call off his hound dog. He argues both countries have a lot to lose if things go public. He suggests they make a deal and says the agency is not interested in the past generation. Yong-jun dictates that if they are to make a deal, Mark has to terminate the operation. Mark tries to play hardball, so Yong-jun asks to be connected to China's Ministry of State Security. Meanwhile, Frank shows up at Mai Hyan's restaurant and orders food. Mai Hyan is quick to sense danger and tries to text Bong Seok not to come home. Unfortunately, his phone is dead and he doesn't get the message. He casually asks what second string means and Mai Hyan explains it is not something good. Bong Seok gets home and Mai Hyan quickly tries to treat him like any other customer and refers to him as sir.